So, you want to be a contractor. Ever wonder what it takes to become a contractor? The journey they go on to get where they are now, or the crazy things they see and hear on the job site? Well, you're in the right spot. Welcome to So You Want to Be a Contractor, the podcast. Join your host, Mike Fisher, as he talks to owners of construction companies from all over about how they got started, how they run their business, and some of the craziest stories they've experienced on their job sites. And now, your host, Mike Fisher.
Welcome to So You Want to Be a Contractor. My name is Mike Fisher. This is episode number 11. My guest today is Evan Richardson, president at Reaume Construction.
Well, I'm doing well. It's actually Reaume Richardson, but that's fine.
Reaume Richardson. All right. But I knew I was going to mess it up. We just talked about it, but awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to hang out with us here for a minute and kind of get your story out there. So how we get a lot of these started, want to know your story. How did you get started in this industry, and how did you get to where you are now?
Well, how to get started. So let's see. I think it started in probably the early 90s. I was up in Northern California with my grandfather. I'd go up there for the summer sometimes, and he'd ask me, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to be an architect, design buildings." He said, That's amazing. That's great. What a well-respected profession. But he said, I recommend being in either development, construction, or engineering because architects, they do the most work and sometimes they get the least amount of pay. So I chose to go to Purdue for construction management, and then left Purdue because it was in West Lafayette, Indiana, and it was not an ideal situation. It was just freezing cold, and I'm from Southern California. And then I went to Arizona State University for it's called interdisciplinary studies, and had an opportunity with my business partner in 2005 to come back to Southern California, where I'm from, and live my whole life in Pasadena and start working. So I started working as a foreman, essentially like assistant superintendent. Was able to kind of run circles around the people I was working with, and then went into project engineer, then project manager, then vice president, and now president. So that's the path. I guess work hard.
Yeah. So what did that, from that point where you came back out here and started working to now, what was that timeline? How long ago was that?
That was, I think that is about 17, 18 years now.
Okay. So you've been with the same company for quite a while then. Working your way out.
Yep.
Awesome. So I know that there's some construction schools up north here in California. What was the interest in Purdue? I haven't heard
It was the only people that would let me in. So
I guess that narrows down the choice for you pretty quickly, right?
I applied to a few different schools, and the best choice, or the best one that I could get into, was Purdue, and so that's what prompted my decision.
Yeah, and actually going in knowing that you were doing construction management, I feel like there's a lot of people that kind of might be a fallback plan, or a, hey, this looks kind of cool when I'm in college kind of thing, but actually going out there specifically for that is pretty rare, I guess, or
I think
circles I talk to.
Yeah, I think now I think construction has a certain kind of catch to it, and people are interested in it, but sometimes you don't really want to see how the soup is made, and it's or the sausage is made, or whatever the saying is.
Right.
And I think it can be really rewarding to be working on things that you see and you have a real goal in mind, and you get to deliver something and a client is happy, or you're doing it for an institution, that institution is happy with the finished product. And that could be really rewarding. It's sometimes you work at a position and you don't really have an end game. Like you go in, you do your data entry, and then you leave, and that continues for the rest of your life. And there's no real gratification. So I think construction is rewarding in that sense. I think that it's demanding, it's unique. You get to be on different project types, different project sites. You get to interact with different people, collaborate with engineers, architects, designers, clients, overcome issues, and kind of work at your logic and figure out how to solve challenges. So I think that sense, and I think that back to the question, I think that drives people to define that as a major going into a university.
Yeah, no, it's cool too, because I don't, to be completely honest, I don't talk to a lot of people that go that route, right? A lot of the owners or executives are second, third generation taking over family companies, right? That's a lot of this industry is kind of works like that, which, so it's refreshing, and it's nice to hear that there are people, you know, going into it out of high school, or you know, getting into it as soon as college, that don't have the family history necessarily to take over a business or something like that. Obviously, you didn't go that route either, but maybe just kind of speak to going the route you did, as far as what you learned, some things maybe were the gaps in the schooling industry or the schooling route versus you know, the real life and some of those challenges that you faced.
Yeah, I think there some people, not me, are good students, and they like to kind of be tasked with something, then they achieve that task and they get a grade. And for me, I've kind of been a serial entrepreneur my entire life. I started a clothing company when I was 19 years old, did a series of tours and sponsored surfers, had some little immature and didn't really understand what a business plan was and what goals meant and how to achieve it and how to do proper accounting. And so I learned that lesson. Then I watched Boiler Room when I was, 19 or whatever. It came out in 2000. And when my roommates were away during Christmas, I put a bar, a casino with a little safe, a mini fridge with beer, and a camera in our apartment. And I invited everybody to come play blackjack, and it was for real money. So that was another one that was really fun. Um,
We won't tell the feds about that one, or the
No,
or the
no.
IRS.
It didn't go went on for about
Right.
2 months, and then that was it. It was entertaining though. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that there are a lot of people out there that university is a really good path, and it gives them the tools to show that they can achieve something and finish something, and apply that to any business strategy um, they're going to pursue. And I think there are other people that are maybe a little bit not they don't want to go down that path, but they want to focus on something that kind of sparks their interest, and they're going to give 100% of their passion and energy to be the best at it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I mean, like I said, there's definitely two different pretty distinct paths, and the one that you went down is, again, it just, in my experience, a little bit more rare. I guess from a schooling standpoint, is there something that you like use or take to this day that was part of that process that you don't think could have come from another place, or vice versa?
Yeah, I think at when I was at Arizona State University, I took a lot of communications classes, and specifically technical communications. And I mean, I also took finite mathematics and like a ton of different things, history, English, like they're all relative. They teach you how to write, how to
Right.
communicate, how to be concise, how to understand an issue at the root cause, how to problem solve, how to discuss it, find a solution, like, move forward with it. It also tells you to, one of our core values is perspective. Like you, you need people are different, whether you're dealing with an architect, a coworker, an engineer, a building inspector, a supplier. Like everyone is a person, and you need to think, I think the golden rule is treat others how you want to be treated. And you have to realize that somebody might have a family crisis going on. Somebody might have financial issues going on, and their temperament might be reflected in that way. Like, oh, I'm frustrated, so I'm going to take it out on this person I'm having a conversation with. Well, when you're making a conversation, you have to take that into perspective. I think you can learn that through communications classes, and I think it's important to just use that in life. Like if you're upset, you're gonna kind of probably be a little bit more aggressive towards the people you're speaking with, or you're going to take out your aggression or your frustration on them, whether it's your family, your children, your wife, your friends, coworkers, whatever. You just have to take that away and really identify the issue. So back to your question of like, what did you learn in school? I think I applied a lot of the communications classes, technical communication, and all the math classes, whether it was finite mathematics, accounting, microeconomics, all those things are applicable today in any business, specifically construction.
Yeah, and I'm glad I was teeing you up there, and I hoped you kind of went down that route, and you did, and it worked out perfectly for me. So I appreciate that, because what I was getting at is, that generational succession, I guess, if you will, like in a construction industry that's pretty popular, and I mean, not for right or wrong, and it's not good or bad, but you do kind of lose. There is that gap when the next generation takes over of being able to run that ship and steer that ship efficiently, especially from the people management side, right? Because that person that's taking over has seen the business operate probably since they were a child, and they know how all the numbers work and how all the construction works and how all the deals and the projects and all those things work. But managing people is a completely different animal, right? And it gets learned, especially by the good ones and the ones that want to take the time to learn it and dedicate themselves to being that kind of leader. And not everybody does, right? I mean, some people take over and end up, just being a jerk owner forever. But coming out of school directly and learning those things, I think it puts you obviously a few steps ahead of a lot of people that in that position.
Yeah, I think, and I also had an opportunity to kind of rotate through and master each role. Not master, I'm sure there are people that are actual masters, but I had an opportunity to really learn. It's like you're out there as an assistant superintendent and you're just all ears. You were just listening, right. And now you're learning and you're understanding what it takes, what the output, what the crew size is. How long does it take to do a dowel? Like what does it take to bring a rebar cage in? What is the sequence of operations for like getting a deputy inspector, a structural observation, placing the concrete, coordinating the trucks, identifying the street closures? Like, those things are now essentially second nature. And so as you move up, you can understand that when a project manager who hasn't had that experience and done that, and it's like, why can't you pour the concrete tomorrow? It's like, whoa. You got to break it all down, understand each piece that needs to happen, how it needs to be timed perfectly, and then how you can achieve that. So when you ask that question, like, hey, I recognize that the foundation is dug. I see the cages are on site. Like, walk me through our next steps. If you can ask it in that way and be like, I was shooting for Friday. Do you think we'll be able to pour Friday? And if they say no or yes, you can ask them like, what do you think we need to do to achieve that? Is there anything we can do to help? Do we need to call for an overtime inspection? And like, you can achieve the same goal without getting upset and being like, it'll get done tomorrow. Like, that's just one method of being able to take their perspective and all the challenges that they have to do to get it done.
Yep. No, for sure. My uncle's a general super. I had him on my last podcast, or a number of episodes ago on my previous show, and out in Miami in Southern Florida, and same kind of thing, right? When he starts a new project, he kind of visualizes all those steps. Like you said, it kind of is a second nature to him, right? Like he can see the whole project in and out, who's coming in and out from the beginning to the end, and kind of plan it out. So it's a fun little place you get to having that kind of experience for sure. So we know the Evan story, right? So what do you guys do? What kind of work are you guys doing? Where do you kind of fall in the grand scheme of this industry?
Well, I'd say we're kind of a, middle of the pack kind of person, or kind of company. We got a really good opportunity when my partner and I were both 22 to 24 years old, and we had an opportunity to partner with a developer and gave him some essentially equity in the company, and we had an opportunity to work on $35 million projects we didn't have a ton of experience, but he gave us that opportunity. And what that did was give us a feather in our cap, let us learn And then we were able to continue down that path for, 15 years and get newer, bigger clients and kind of hone our skills there. As far as our company, our main focus is commercial. We don't do any residential other than multifamily. And one of the things that is our niche is that we do adaptive reuse. And what that means is we take, I think you probably know, but maybe people don't, is we take buildings that were built in the 1890s to 1960s, and they might be a change of use, right? So we're going to keep the structure, we're going to rip out all the systems, increase the seismic, and create a new use for it. And the architect is going to design it, and we help achieve that. So it's fun. You're essentially like recycling.
Probably pretty big business, right? Especially, I mean, the seismic
Yeah.
retrofitting for sure is a big piece, right? Because that stuff didn't exist, 30, 40
Right.
years ago. And there's so much older stuff too and not a lot of land either, right? So things kind of have to be recycled. You can't just go down the street and build a new 35,000 square foot building, somewhere.
Right.
So definitely a good little niche to be in for sure. From a construction standpoint, I assume you guys are subbing out most stuff. Do you guys self-perform anything, or is it all your employees on the project management side?
Yeah, you're right. So like when we work on a $20 million job, I would say that all of the subcontracted work, right? So everything from demo all the way to landscaping and all of that is everything's subcontracted out. We are just providing the management. So project manager, project engineer, superintendent, assistant superintendent, accounting, project controls, operations, et cetera. That's all we're doing. And we're subcontracting out all of the different disciplines, right? So everything from concrete, steel, drywall, everything all the way through, plumbing, mechanical. And a lot of times we go to the same sub base, and it's like essentially you're doing the same thing over and over, but on different locations.
Right.
So you're always, always have air conditioning, you always have waste and vent, you always have plumbing, you always have a roof, you might have a roof deck, you always have windows, you have an elevator or two, fire pump, fire sprinklers, fire alarm system. You're going through the same process each project.
No, so I would imagine you've got that bullpen, if you will, of subcontractors, right? That you've vetted and you're confident in and do good work for you guys. But what was that process like, kind of bringing those on, or finding those people that you can trust? And I would imagine you're probably still doing it now, right? Kind of making sure that you're always having those people.
Yeah, we always want the best subs, and we want to be in a kind of working towards the same goal. And I think it goes back to the way you treat people. Like, we want them to make money. We want to make money. We want to provide good value to the client. And if we, as a group, can do that, then everybody wins. If we treat our subs poorly, then they're going to want to work somewhere else, or they might give us bad pricing. Or if we're not efficient in the way we build, but we still need them to work with us, they're going to price that in, right? They're going to say, hey, every time I come to the roof, you guys are always such a mess with your penetrations. I have to, there's a tax for you guys because of the way you work, and I've experienced that. So we need to communicate with them. And something that our team does, we've got a great executive team here, and Sean Shamla is our COO. And something he brought on was, I think it's from the military technically, even though he's not in the military, but it's called an after action review. So opportunity to take all the subs, architect, everybody. We do an after action review. Hey, what did we do well? What did we do kind of badly? What could we do better on the next project? And identify those things so that we know how we can be better and how we can help the subs. It's like, people don't want to come in and stop, start just because we need a body on the site. That's not effective. So I think that's one way you can keep people on site is, one, pay them on time. If work with them and give them an opportunity to do good work and manage schedules well, and I think they'll come back.
The after action review, I've heard that a few different times for sure, and I think I think it's huge because it just shows you care, right? It shows that you want to get better, you want that relationship to grow, and it's only helpful for everybody, right? It's a no feelings hurt kind of situation. Let's just know what we did well, know what we did poorly, and let's make it better for the next time
Right.
for everybody.
Exactly. You have an opportunity to give them constructive criticism, and you're okay to take some constructive criticism. So,
Yep.
and then
Yeah.
everyone can do better. What
So
about,
what is your role now on a day-to-day basis?
well, that's a great question. So, um, my role is I oversee all the project teams and our COO, and I help the project managers, superintendents, and PEs um, in certain cases to be better. So I'm trying to kind of teach them what I would do, show them that this is the way I would like to do it. Doesn't mean it's the right way. It's just something that worked for me, and then give them those tools that they can take on for themselves. In addition, like a number of other things, but generating new business, ensuring the financial health of the company, employee retention. We've got a ton of different responsibilities.
What are some of the challenges you face on a day-to-day in your role specifically, and obviously, kind of coming up through the ranks?
I think that running a company, construction company or other, people, right? So retaining people, motivating people, paying them a fair wage, and giving them the accountability to grow in their profession, and like giving them an opportunity to have some upward mobility to stay here or to stay anywhere is like so important. And I think that right now it's a challenging time for
Yeah, especially right now, right?
yeah, it's like, competitors want to retain somebody, they'll seek the best, just like we try and do as well. Offer them an opportunity to come over, give them essentially match their pay or beat their pay and give them different benefits. So I think that's one part. The other part is, not being a technology company with venture capital money or whatever, however they operate, whatever I read in the newspaper, it's like, well, they don't actually make a profit, but they burn $3 million a month, good for them. Hopefully they succeed. It's like, you can't do that in the real world. You have to have you have to have a gross profit and net profit, or there's absolutely no reason to be a business. And, managing cash flow. So number one challenge is being paid on time by clients. Number two challenge is in construction, you have razor sharp margins. I'm talking like, if we're lucky,
yeah.
no, in commercial, you are lucky if you're making 2% net on your
Really?
total revenue. Oh yeah. So, I mean, you've got overhead that is just creeping left and right. You don't have it's coming in from, no matter what you do, you have G&A, right? You've got that cost. That is constant. You have all your direct costs, which are all your people, their insurances, et cetera. Like those things are also constant, but you have an opportunity to scale those up or down. And, how do you, I'm not Netflix where I go, okay, I can just plan ahead and say I've got 1 million subscribers and next month I'll have 1.1 million and the next month I'll have 1.2 and I can guarantee that revenue. You are a project-based business where you secure a job. That job is scheduled for $10 million. It has a specific projected profit margin, and you know that it goes for 12 months. Okay. Well, once that job's over, I don't get another one the next day. I've got to earn another job and I've got to find it. In the interim, I need to retain my people. So that's the challenge with construction or any business that is not, that even, I guess, lawyers have that issue, or I guess doctors wouldn't, but kind of the construction is always like that. Whether you're a general or a sub, you have to find your next job in order to keep the good people you have. And should you happen to make an error and have to do rework, your margin is gone.
Right.
So if you do a $10 million job, you're gonna make 2%. It's like you're lucky after everything's paid and done, you make $200,000. A lot of risk.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of risk. I mean, you're obviously you're paying all of your staff, you're paying your overhead for your office, you're paying your salary, you're paying whatever benefits you have. So that's all part of it, but the net profit is razor thin.
And you mentioned that part of your kind of day to day is that new business generation. What does that look like for you guys? How does that come about? What kind of tools are you using? if
I
any?
mean, I think the easiest tool and what's worked for a long time is you just do good work and you get word of
Right.
mouth and people say, hey,
Yep.
they were really great to work with. If, and you also need to reach out. So we have part of our executive team is Chris Bodel. He is director of marketing. Maybe it's director of development. I think it's director of development or business development. So he's out, he's meeting with architects, people, clients, just telling them about what we do, what we can offer, and putting our hat in the ring. And then we have an opportunity to bid on a project to provide a good price, and then an opportunity to get in front of the owner and explain to them, are we different? Not really. I mean, construction's construction. You have a set of documents. I'm not really different. Will the experience be different? Yeah, that we think so. We think we're pretty straightforward. We're fair people. We communicate well, and we do what we say. And if we make a mistake, we own it. So that's the only thing I could tell them, really.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, they could find a dozen people that are going to build the building for you, right? I mean, it's
Correct. Exactly. And in most cases, our sub base is not, it's not like, oh, I have exclusive rights to use this electrical subcontractor. Like
right.
all the generals are essentially going out to the same sub base, so they're getting the same prices, and we're disclosing those to the owner, saying, here are all the bids. So it's really just about who do they want to work with.
Yeah. And so you guys position yourself in that way with your history, right? Basically your word of mouth, like I sell insurance. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. And I sell it to contractors. And at the end of the day, the contractor can find the same policy, if not very close, for probably the same amount of money from any other broker, right? It's more about the service they're going to get from me and some of the things that I can provide and how I can partner with them. But to illustrate that is a challenge. And I have to imagine that that's a challenge for you guys as well, right? Walking in and saying, hey, we're going to do all these things better than everybody else, or what we think is better than everybody else. What do you do? What are you doing to kind of get them to see that or help them kind of understand that or visualize that?
I mean, to be honest, it comes down to a few things. It's like, one, can you do it? Are you capable? And then, do you give a shit? Sorry for the language, but it's like,
no, you're good.
Do you care? It's like, do I care about what I do? Yes. Why do I care? Because it goes back to what I said. It's like, I want to treat people the way I want to be treated. And if when I do a renovation at my house, or when I do something that, someone's doing work for me, it's like, I want to be treated fairly, and if you're doing, here's an example. I redid my house and I did handrails coming down some stairs in the front, and they're kind of curved at a radius, and they're, kind of beautiful. And guy came over and he said, it's $5,600 for the railings. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. Like, walk me through it. He's like, well, this is it, and this is my price. I said, that makes sense. And I got another price, and the guy was even higher. And I went with the guy that's 5,600. I was really happy. I didn't negotiate. We communicated. I didn't worry about time. But an owner wants that same thing. If an electrical or a handrail at a project is $200,000 and it's not your money, like, you're just like, yeah, sounds good. No, my money, someone else's money. Well, if you're not fighting for that owner to, like, make sure they're getting the best value, and maybe it's not the cheapest price, but maybe it's the right subcontractor, they want to know that you've vetted them, qualified the bid, and you've selected the right sub to work on their project to give them the best possible quality for the best value. Like I said, not necessarily. So, like, you want to treat them that way. You also want to fight, like, if you feel something is not being done correctly, you want to correct it, and you want to push back on that subcontractor to get that work done correctly, and not have the owner worried about it. And that goes back to another challenge that every contractor has, which is changes. So, I think our edge is
avoiding changes, right? Yeah. Staying in front of them and being honest. I mean, you're going to have them. It's more about kind of owning them. And
yeah, I mean, I think that like, the analogy I like to give is, you asked me to bid a set of documents and build that set, and I said, this is the price and time to do it. And it's the same thing as, like, me going to Delta Airlines and saying, I would like a ticket from Los Angeles to New York. I expect the flight to be $500, and I expect it to be 5 hours. And then as I'm kind of over Chicago, I tell the pilot, hey, could you circle and kind of cruise down to Texas really quick? I just want to take a look down there and then come back up. But we're still going to New York. And he goes, yeah, I can do that, but I don't have enough fuel. I've run out of fuel. Our fuel is our general conditions, right? That's what is paying for our staff to manage the project. And should we run out of fuel, I can only make it to like Ohio, essentially, right? And the project, I can't get all the way to New York because I've gone off route. So and then the argument is, yeah, but we were always going to New York. Why can't you get there? It's like, well, I put in exactly the fuel I needed to. I didn't anticipate you asking me to do 6 loops around, the middle of the United States. So that's the challenge of,
I love that analogy.
I don't know if it's the right thing, but it's like, I'm trying to describe it as
I feel like you've come up with that before, though. Like, you didn't just come up with that on the spot, right? Have you used that before?
I used it in one of our state company meetings, but that
I was going to say that's a good one.
Yeah. And it's like, it's fair to you in your mind. It's not fair to them in their mind. Oh, you're already here. Why can't you just keep working? And it's like, well,
Right.
I've already used that. So that's always a challenge to do that. And also really understanding the impacts of cost and time when a change happens. So, if I am asked to change a faucet from chrome to 24 karat gold, that's really just a cost impact. It doesn't really have a time. It's like I'm still installing the same exact Kohler faucet, except for one is chrome and one is gold. There's no real impact other than the cost of material. That's very easy. When someone says, hey, I would like to, I don't know, I would like to add another floor to the building. You're like, okay, well, I can guess on what I think that time is, and I can produce that in a change order. Say, no problem. You want an extra floor? It's an extra $10, right? And I think it's an extra week of time. But should that actually cost me 11 and 2 weeks of time? Now it's my fault. And if I say 2 weeks up front, everyone's, they're like, oh, it seems so long, and they just want to negotiate. So like, it's very hard to understand the actual impacts of those changes. And the other changes that have really detrimental impacts are like the little ones. Hey, could you change that door from a 3068 to 3070? Yeah, no problem. Could you add another layer of board here? No problem. And like those little impacts, little tiny impacts, or like the lack of a decision of a tile selection in order to get it on time, in order to get the waterproofing done, to get the tile installed and complete the work around it. Like those little impacts, the team will miss a day here or there, and those add up and compound, and then it's like my problem.
Right.
So those are the challenges with construction, and I'm sure in other businesses as well. But it's a real challenge in construction. It really is.
So technology, I think, is probably helping with some of that. And correct me if I'm wrong, right? I mean, you talked about the labor piece of it, right? The time aspect of something. I know that there's some tools out there that, you can kind of better forecast some of that stuff based on prior history and some of those things. Are you guys, where are you guys at? And I only ask because the industry as a whole is very far behind the rest of the society when it comes to technology and implementing it in this industry. So kind of where do you guys fall on that scale? Using it, if at all, in your business?
Yeah, we use we use quite a bit of software and technology, mainly project management software. I think you've probably heard of Procore.
Yep.
We use Procore. We have been for, I'd say, about 5-6 years now. And we also use Sage for our accounting, job cost control. We have or had Bridget Bench for our staffing and project resources. And really, it's just a different way to do it. It's not, I don't think it's better, and I don't think it's worse. It's definitely better. It's 100% better. But it's just essentially tracking it, and you're doing data entry into a system and relying on a system to store it. It's like the same as a file cabinet, but you can share it more quickly. And And I think it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's so easy to transfer documents, and an architect can say, oh, I can just issue an ASI, which is an architectural supplemental instruction, or I can issue a bulletin or a delta or a change. They just email it over and say, like, hopefully you get this, And previously, before, I'd say probably about 2006 or 7, how you received a bulletin is like you'd be at the owner architect contractor meeting.
Guy would tap you on the shoulder and
here's a green set of plans, and these are all the changes, and you'd kind of like walk through it, and you do a page turn. Now, like, hey, did you get my email I sent you? You're like, yeah. What is this? Oh, that's a bulletin. And so like it has become easier to make changes, which means that the architect, owner, and engineers feel like it's an opportunity to just make little corrections throughout the course of the project. Back to technology, yeah, Procore is great. Gives us an opportunity to track data, anything from daily logs, crew sizes, who's there, RFIs, commitments, all of our invoicing. So it's decent. It's good.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about the email. I just talked to a guy a few episodes ago, and I don't know how much work you guys do in Southern California, but Pete Fowler, he's kind of a consultant in the industry, but he said the same thing about email, right? Like it's become so easy to do a lot of those things that a lot of that stuff also gets missed, right? It's not only is it, hey, it's so easy to make a change, I can make 1,000 of them now because I can just shoot it over an email, but also they get missed, and so he has his rule is, if it's not talked about in our daily meeting or weekly meeting, whatever we do, it doesn't get counted, right? Like an email doesn't, or a text message even, right? Nowadays, right? A text message doesn't count as communicating something to me, just because, especially in this industry, right? It's one of those things where some of those things can cause big problems down the road if they're missed.
Yeah, well, I mean, some of the most successful projects we've had is we did some bioscience spaces for a really good group called Hatch Labs, Howard and Allen, and I did, I don't know, let's say 6 to 8 months of pre-construction, and we worked with BAM. They're the architect, and we went through, we identified constructability issues. We just said, hey, we don't fully understand this. Could you help us understand this? We're going through opportunity to price it. And then once they produced the drawings that were ready to be built, they didn't make any changes. They said, we'll see you guys in 11 months. And we said, this is the budget. And literally we had one change order for $15,000. It was a $4.35 million. Let's just call it 4.5. It's $4,350,000 job. That was the starting contract. We ended at $4,365,000, and we were supposed to be 11 months. It was like 11 months and 3 weeks, and there were no changes. Everyone just kind of stayed the path. We'd identify issues in the field and we'd address them, and we had an opportunity to work up front during pre-construction, like make sure their drawings were sound, make sure their budget was sound, and it was a really, really easy project. It was very easy. Like I remember the last 3 months. They came in and like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we changed the bathroom? And I was like, why? Like, is that going to get you more rent? Have you already leased the space? I said, yes, we have. I'm like, then leave it alone, because if you want to open the ceiling, then I have to figure out the electrical and like putting it in EMT or conduit.
Right.
It's just no changes makes it so easy. And so back to the point of email like sending emails for directives. Like we have a set of documents, that's my contract, and I'm building to that. And so then it'll be like, oh, I see you're going, wouldn't that be cool if we move the window over here? And it's like, yeah, it would be cool. But I'm not stopping until you physically tell me to stop, and then give me a written directive to move that
new set of drawings. Yeah.
Correct. And it's kind of it feels aggressive in the sense like, whoa, why are you being aggressive? Like, well, because, I'm trying to get to New York on my 5-hour flight. And that's all the gas I have.
Yep. And that's almost literal too, right? Like your mental and emotional and your physical gas, right? Like sometimes you just don't have enough to deal with it, for sure.
Right. And then another challenge, I'm sorry, this is probably boring you, but
you're good.
Another challenge that I think, and this is a mistake by contractors, and I think it happens on a lot of projects, unless it's just some of ours, but they'll ask for something, you know, like, oh, we need whatever, you know, and whatever. We need stainless steel handrails. Oh my God. All right. So you go through and you change the handrails from aluminum to stainless steel, and you're kind of like, you're in a rush. You're up against a clock. So you move forward. You mention to the owner that it's an extra 15,000. They kind of, oh yeah, no problem. Okay, good. And then you go and you install, and they haven't signed the change order, right? Or you say, all right, I'm going to do this. It's extra. I'm going to go, and they don't sign the change order. So you come back, it's all installed. They're super happy. You go, oh, by the way, that stainless steel change is $15,000. And they're like, well, I don't want to pay that. It's like, well, you told us to put in stainless steel. I know, but you didn't tell me the price, and I would have made a different decision. And I agree with that argument. Like, they need all the information so they can make good decisions. Because another analogy that you might like or dislike is, it would be like you and I going to a steakhouse, and we go in, we sit down, we order our New York, we want it cooked medium rare, and I get it on a plate. I know it's $40. I have $40 in my pocket. I order it, and then the waiter comes by. How's everything? I say, it's great. I was wondering if I can get some HP sauce. And he goes, no problem. I'll bring the HP sauce over. I go, perfect. Thank you. And I eat the HP sauce with my steak, which is kind of inappropriate, but whatever, I do it anyway. And then at the end, I get a bill, and it's $42 because I get the steak for 40 and the sauce for 2. And then I go, I didn't know it was $2. Well, it's like, you asked for it. So that's the challenge that you have. And on a small scale, $2, like, it doesn't really bother anybody, but when you're talking thousands of dollars, it's impactful,
Right.
And it has a real impact. So that's another challenge that you're trying to manage the time, manage the expectation, coordinate all of these things, all these changes that are happening, and try not to miss anything. And then also negotiate with an owner when they don't want to pay the full freight. So those are just real life challenges.
Yeah. It's a lot, man. A lot to manage for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If construction is behind in technology, just as an industry, they're even further behind in the social media and the marketing aspect of it that way. Do you guys use any of it? Is it something you've done deliberately? If you use it, where are you guys at on those kind of things?
Yeah, I mean, we have a presence on Instagram and on LinkedIn, and our marketing person does that, but I don't really have a ton of interest in social media. I prefer just doing what I'm supposed to do and then going home and enjoying my family. And
Right.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
I do like watching, like, I do have an Instagram account, and I actually like watching all the golf memes, and those are really funny to me. But
Yeah, I heard your Taylor one. It got edited out, everybody, but he got fitted for a jacket in the middle of this episode. But
yeah,
he was talking about golf. So what's your golf game like?
it's pretty. I think I'm horrible, but apparently I'm not as bad as I think.
Everybody thinks they're terrible.
Yeah, I mean, my ball flight is left to right most of the time. My handicap is, my index is a 6.8 to a 7.7, depending on which part of the time you look it up on the GIN app. And what does that mean?
I mean, that's very respectable. It's very respectable.
Yeah, not bad. And I can shoot between 75 to 100, but if I look at what my stats say, I usually score my average score is about 81.3 is what the app says. So
there you go.
That's
so you might have to give me a few strokes so we can get out there and play. We can compete.
Yeah,
I might be able to take you on a couple holes.
I just enjoy, like, I go out with my wife, I take my kids out, I go out with my friends. We, trade $5 here and there, or maybe more depending on the game. I just like the competitive nature. Like, you're not there to rub it in anybody's face. You're just trying to play your best and feel that pressure to compete.
Yeah. It's one of those games where it doesn't really matter what anybody else is doing, but you can beat yourself up and think you're terrible.
100%. I played in a match. This is a tangent, but I played in a match, and it was the first match, and it was 7:30 in the morning. I came out, and we kind of didn't really warmed up. I hit 3 balls and rolled a few putts and had a burrito, and then topped my drive into a bush and made a 7 on the first hole. So I'm down 1. I proceeded to shoot about a 78 and won the match 3-2.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
so you can't really get mad. I wasn't mad. I was like, oh, I'm in the bush. Can you find it?
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
So what's the future look like for you guys? Where do you see yourself in a few years or 10 years down the road, or whether it's you personally or the company as a whole?
We do something called a VTO, which is a vision traction organizer, and it outlines our 1-year plan, our 3-year picture, and our 10-year goal. I think those are correct, and I don't know if that's the exact thing, but anyway, what we're trying to do is there are a few things on that list. Number one, we're trying to increase our ranking on the ENR top rankings for contractors in Southern California. Our goal by 2030 is to be in the top 30. That has both a revenue dollar amount to it, which probably moves based on inflation, and also has a size. And in order to achieve that, what does it mean? It means that you have good company culture. You have the right people in the right seats. All of our people are paid a fair, they've got good benefits. They're happy. We have a good home office. And essentially the joke that we had was, I hate this, but the joke is that we're like the Brad Pitt of contractors. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that we're Brad Pitt. It means that an actor like Brad Pitt has gone through and he's worked a long career, and now people come to him and they want him in their movie, and he doesn't have to go and do I don't know, what's it called, an actor? You do audition. He doesn't essentially have to audition. They just come to him, and he's kind of saying, do I want this job or not? So we want to position ourselves to treat people fairly, get a great reputation, and have an opportunity to pick the best jobs with the best clients. That's our objective. And then, I just really want to, we're pretty fair balanced here. We have a little daycare place in our office, which is pretty cool. We just finished it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that way, if one of our people or one of our team members has to go pick up their kid early from school, they can come, they can color. There's, it's good.
That's awesome. Back to treating people right. I mean, that's one of those things.
Yeah.
It's fun. And it's funny you get to that point where, like you said, the Brad Pitt, where people are coming to you, right? I feel like there's levels of being a contractor, right? Especially when you're brand new. I talked to some of the guys that just start on their own, and it's like, hey, I'm taking any job I possibly can, right? I'm going to lose money on some of them. Some of them are going to suck. Some of them are things I don't even know, but I just have to say yes because I got to get money. And you go from that stage to the point where you're comfortable and you can say no. You're still out there hustling, but you've got enough work that you can say no. And then you, like you said, you get to that end goal where you don't have to do anything. People are coming to you, and you're literally picking and choosing the ones that but it's that cycle, right? And you gotta, like you said at the very beginning, work hard and grind to get to that point.
Yeah, I think there's no amount of marketing that can replace just good work and being a good person. Like, you can tell somebody till you're blue in the face, I'm going to give you this, or I'm going to promise you that. But like, if you don't actually deliver and you don't get a good reputation, they'll say, what's the point? Why would you want to mislead somebody?
Very cool, man. Well, Evan, this has been awesome. I appreciate it. I definitely need to get up north a little bit, or if you're down this way, let me know, because we need to find a time to golf. I always find an excuse to get out of the golf course rather than sit behind a computer if I can, but we'll definitely have to link up for sure. And then before we let you go, I want to give you an opportunity to let everybody know where to find you, how to get a hold of you, whether it's phone numbers, emails, websites, whatever it is, how they can get in touch with you guys.
Is that a requirement?
It's not. It's not. You don't have to.
Our website.
You don't have to. Let me put it this way. Some people give out their cell phone number. Please don't give out your cell phone number if you want. All we just need is your website, right? Just where they can look you up and find you and
it's
what you guys are doing.
It's Reaume Richardson, RICHARDSON.com. You could type in Reaume Richardson and it'll probably pop up, and that's how you get a hold of us.
Awesome. Well, this has been fun, Evan. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Mike.
Have a good weekend, and we'll see you out there.
You too. Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no worries. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you had a good time, be sure to hit that subscribe button to get all the latest episodes. And if you had a really good time, leave a review to let us know what you thought. Until then, go gather some crazy stories on your job sites, and we'll see you next time on So, You Want to Be a Contractor.